Hello and welcome to News 9 Facebook Live with me, Adarsh Vepachedu. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic is continuing to wreak havoc across the world, and the global scientific community and people across the world are just waiting with bated breath for a vaccine that may be released across the world. Now again, when it comes to the vaccine race itself, it has picked up across various countries, and right here in India as well, you have some sort of a hope coming forward with respect to the AstraZeneca vaccine, and that apart, you also have two other vaccines that are being developed right here in the country. So in this News 9 Facebook Live, I'll be speaking to you about where the vaccine race stands and as to how there is a ray of hope when it comes to the AstraZeneca vaccine candidate, which India is looking at quite intensely at this point in time. And guess what? It may as well be the first shot that will be available for Indians, and as early as by the end of this year 2020. Now, apart from that, the two indigenously developed vaccine candidates, which are also being expected to get launched within a gap of just a couple of weeks if cleared in the clinical trials, if they are able to do well. However, the COVID-19 vaccine candidate, which is being developed by the University of Oxford, is clearly ahead of the other two local vaccine candidates that have also entered the human clinical trials even as we speak. Now, the Pune-based Serum Institute of India is a manufacturing partner of British pharma giant AstraZeneca for manufacturing the potential COVID-19 vaccine, which is being developed by the University of Oxford. The SSI, which has also been permitted for conducting advanced phases of human clinical trials of the candidate in India, has already started phases 2 and 3 trials. On the other hand, the locally developed vaccine candidates, that of Bharat Biotech's Covaxin, which is being jointly developed by the ICMR, and also the other vaccine, Zydus Cadilla's ZyCoV-D, are both in early phases of human clinical trials at this point in time. Now, the trials that are being conducted by the Serum Institute of India are the largest, which is being conducted with around 1,600 people that are aged above 18 years of age, and they're all selected from 17 different sites across India for this very COVID-19 vaccine in the country so far. Now, for the trials of the other two vaccine candidates, there have been around 1,000 to 1,100 participants that have already been enrolled in about 8 sites across the country. Now, that's where the race really is when it comes to a vaccine for COVID-19, and it almost seems as though, given the amount of clinical trials and given the pace of clinical trials, we may as well have a vaccine by the end of this year, by the end of 2020. And yes, another important factor that really matters is the fact that you have the Serum Institute of India that has partnered with AstraZeneca, and that only goes on to indicate that this vaccine will be a little more sought after compared to the other two vaccines that are currently being developed right here in the country. Now, the big question also is, if you have the AstraZeneca vaccine that is all set, all ready, they're saying that monthly they will be able to manufacture about 100 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and by the end of 2020 we may have about 400 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine that will be solely for the purpose of India. But again, we're talking about how any given COVID-19 vaccine will have to be administered twice, in the sense that you will need 2 doses at least for the effects to really kick in. So if you're talking about 400 million doses of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine that will be manufactured by the end of this year, so essentially it only means 200 million people in the country will be able to get this particular vaccine, and most of it will again go for the frontline warriors, those who are really exposed to COVID-19, because that again is priority. The reason why I'm mentioning this sort of shortage that we may see once the vaccine is released is because we need to ensure that this very vaccine is out there for every common man, for every grassroots level person also on the ground. So the other point that needs to be noticed here is that the other two vaccines that are being manufactured, that are being developed here in the country, there needs to be enough resources, enough focus on these these two vaccines also, given the fact that both the indigenous vaccines will be ready with only a few weeks of gap after the AstraZeneca vaccine by the University of Oxford is released right here in the country. So when you only have a gap of a few weeks, why not we put in more resources, more focus into the indigenously developed vaccines as well, so that the indigenously developed vaccines are almost ready at the time when AstraZeneca vaccine is available in the country. That way, we're able to ensure that there is no shortage when it comes to the overall vaccines. So yes, there seems to be some sort of work that needs to be done on ground to ensure that by the end of 2020, or at least by the beginning of 2021, we have a vaccine not just for about 200 million people in the country, but for every single citizen of the country. Now, the aim is to really ensure that people are vaccinated by the beginning of 2021. And if we were to only bank on the Oxford University vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine, we are not going to meet that demand. We're not going to really cater to the larger population of the country. So yes, the focus really at this point in time of the ICMR, of the SSI, also of the government officials, should be to ensure that the indigenously developed vaccines, the clinical trials are up to pace, and that they're going at a decent speed. All of this to ensure that the vaccines are coming in at the same time, at the right time. So yes, good times indeed, positive times, positive updates coming in as to how by the end of this year we may as well have a vaccine at hand. So yes, amid this positive update, let's take a look as to what you again commented, but not too many comments that I see at this point in time. In fact, not even one comment. But yes, it is indeed coming as a positive update, given the fact that we were not expecting that by the end of 2020 we may have a vaccine ready. So yes, given the pace at which the clinical trials are being conducted, and given the fact that the SSI has also teamed up with AstraZeneca, a positive update indeed as to how by the end of this year you have millions of vaccine doses that are all set, that will all be ready for administration. So that's how things are really panning out at this point in time when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccine race. And all eyes will also be on Bharat Biotech and Zydus Cadila, that are also developing their vaccines. One only hopes that these clinical trials, when it comes to the indigenously developed vaccines, are sped up to ensure that all of the vaccines, both the AstraZeneca and the indigenously developed vaccines, are out there at almost the same time, and that they will be utilized by the larger population of the entire country. If you like the information that I've shared with you, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to News 9 on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Many thanks for joining us.